How are you doing today? Can
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm good, thanks. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you could hear me at the moment. Yes, I can.
Mm, Okay, that's good.
Okay, so how are you doing today? You say you're doing good.
Yeah, I'm just doing a bit of training and preparation because I've got a race tonight, race in May isolation. So yeah, just doing a bit of practice for that and trying to keep myself physically fit and stuff like that.
That's good, that's good. So let's just hop into the questions. When did you start your racing career? You're like, not racing career, your open wheel racing career.
I got into cars locally in Western Australia, which it's not obviously massive there because there's just not a huge population and it's quite isolated part of the world. But just local club racing in Formula Ford, that was at the end of, I think I started about 2016 to 2017 is when I first started driving, just learning how to get around the track and because the Formula Ford's a manual as well, so that was all new. But it was really, I think, a really good experience because it's a really kind of simple, bare bones car.
And how was the results guys were getting from the Formula Ford?
Uh, I honestly, I didn't do that well. I can, I think I was just very. There's a lot I learned from an inexperienced standpoint. I was really young at the time and still quite immature as a person and a driver. So I made just like silly errors, just like like stalling the car on the line and stuff like that, and learning all those kind of things. So it feels like a really, really long time ago, but I had to learn all that because it's not the same as say you come over here and you race in British F4. You don't have all these, you don't get all this support and kind of information from professional teams. It's probably similar if you do club racing. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but definitely in Australia, maybe in America as well. It's a very simple kind of racing, and you learn a lot for yourself, and you make your own mistakes. And yeah, it's not that different from go karting, to be honest. Other than the fact that me and my dad weren't running the Formula Ford, we got someone who actually knew how to do it. Otherwise, it would have been even worse, right? But no, it was really fun and I learned a lot, but it definitely isn't the same kind of professional experience you get in a series like F4 or F3 or something.
And how long ago did you make your how long ago did you make your open wheel debut?
I think racing wise in the Formula Ford was March in 2017 is what I think at a club race. But the first time I raced in a big event was the end of 2017. I did a round in the national series um, when I went over to Phillip Island, and that was a really big event. And part of the problem in Australia is you don't really get practice. It's really hard to test at the tracks, so you only get like a 10-minute practice sessions, like two or three 10-minute practice sessions on the Friday on a track you don't know, and there's like 30 or 40 cars in Formula Ford. So yeah, and when you go to a place like Phillip Island, you're doing 240 Ks in a Formula Ford. It's pretty scary.
Can imagine. And I'm not a racing driver myself, but I could imagine stalling the car on the start isn't the way you want to start your race.
No, no, and I'd been warned. I remember it was, I think that was my first or second race. Something I didn't fully stall. I think I got the clutch just about back in, but it kind of lurched a bit off the line. I lost a ton of places, but I think you learn from stuff like that, and it's good that I had that because you don't make that mistake again. You never want to do it
Yeah.
again, and I like to think at least last year I had pretty strong starts, pretty good launches, just because I had experience with the clutch from Formula Ford and launching it and things like that. So in the end, it all pays off.
So you say you have to make the mistakes to learn from them.
Yeah.
Now that's one thing I also like to use in like a motto for life is mistake. Like when you make a mistake, you shouldn't yell at a teammate or something. Mistakes are there to learn from them. That's the motto I have in life. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think sometimes even in the sim racing side of things, I've done some pretty stupid stuff. Uh, but I think as long as you learn from it, you can actually take some of it and maybe even apply it to real racing as well if you approach it correctly.
that's some pretty good advice for anybody watching in this video who wants to become a sim racer. There you guys go, advice. And you're racing the British F4 this year, if I'm correct, eh?
No, F3. F4 was
F3,
last year.
I wasn't sure between F4 F3 because I knew because earlier I said it was F3, but then I just swapped to my mind to F4. Sorry about that. But how was the British F4 last year?
I really enjoyed it as a series. The teams are quite, um, I'm not sure, I use the word professional, but just very high level, the preparation of the teams. Even though there wasn't like a massive grid, everyone was there to win kind of thing. It was very high level in that respect. And it was a very different world from where I come from in Australia. Definitely really different racing environment and the level of preparation in terms of, everyone's done 30 test days pretty much, at least midway through the season, or most of the drivers, and more for some of them. So as opposed to Australia, you would have only got like two or three probably, and then just had practice for the events. So when you go to qualifying, it's nothing between the drivers, be like half a second. You think you do a great lap, and then you'd be only a few tenths off pole, and but you'd be down in seventh place. And I think that was again really good because you would have an experience like that and it would make you want to push harder. And every time you did well, you knew it was real. You knew that because the level of competition was high, that you deserved everything that you got. So yeah, I thought it was a really good experience coming to the UK and getting to race against drivers from all over the world.
And how did you get your opportunity to drive in the British F4?
We were looking at it from a while ago because we didn't really. There was a point where, you know, do you want to do? Do you want to do this as a career? Do you want to really
Mm.
commit to this and go, okay, I'm going to throw myself in F1 or not? I want to try and be a racing driver, and I think in Australia there's only limited opportunities from a professional standpoint. There's only really. Do you know the V8 Supercar series that we have in
Yes,
Australia?
I do.
Yeah, so that's about it in terms of high profile series. The guys in that, most of them, although not as many as uh, a few years ago, I believe, but most of them get paid professionally as well as the enduro drivers, and some of the people who do some of the stuff in GTs. But that's not many people if you think about the amount of racing drivers in Australia. Only a very small proportion get paid. Whereas I feel like in Europe or Asia or the
A
UK
lot more.
specifically, because you've got more manufacturers and GT cars, and especially the whole gentleman driver scene, where you can. I've seen a lot of guys, maybe not my age, but a bit older, who are ahead of me, and then um, they will get paid to drive in GTs, like not far out of an F4 car or a go kart, and that opportunity. I don't want to say it doesn't exist in Australia, but I think your opportunities are limited. And when you go to, we were looking at Asia. To be honest, it looked like I was going to race in Asia, but the series we were going to race in um, disappeared because the whole structure there changed because because they brought in the F3 Asia and it changed it completely threw out how we were going to go about racing that year. So then we ended up doing Formula Ford Australia, and I knew a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I had, fortunately, through people in Australia and Asia, I had contacts in the UK, who basically said to us, you should come over here, try with a professional team, um, see what it's like, test over here. Maybe you'll learn something from it. So I thought, okay, I think we were going to go to the UK for a holiday anyway, or to see friends and family. So we came over and I did a test, and then after that, just it kind of all went from there. Because I found it was a really good experience. I thought I learned a lot more than I had previously when I was testing, and I wanted to continue that experience because I felt like if I learned that much, and I feel like I learned so much from not only what the driving I did in the UK, but the people in the UK and the whole motorsport environment here. I thought if I can learn that much in that short amount of time, imagine what I could do if I live here and I breathe motorsport and I really focus on that. So that's when the commitment came, we should go to the UK. And to be honest, we would have had to move, or at least myself, I would have had to move from Western Australia to the eastern side to race in Australia anyway, because all the races are over there pretty much. And it's too hard to do 3 to 5 hour flights every time you fly over, especially if
Yeah,
you want to
cross-country.
show your yeah, especially if you want to show your serious to the race teams, and you've got to be, something as a racing driver, you've got to be available all the time. If someone wants you to do something at the last minute,
You gotta do it.
a slot comes through, yeah, maybe even if it's not a test necessarily, even if it's just going to a factory or meeting a team member or just meeting a person, meeting a sponsor, whatever, you've got to be there. You've got to be available. So you've always got to be able to have quite a loose schedule in that way. And I knew that just wasn't real. I couldn't really do anything from Perth, where I was. So I was either going to have to move or go to the UK. And I felt like I had such a good opportunity and I could learn so much from being in the UK that I just thought it was the right thing to do. And I think it's definitely paid off. Yeah, so at the moment it's August. It might change, but August starting because we support the British GTs or co-headline. Uh, so racing will start in August and testing is supposed to start late June, mid-June, but it's still quite restrictive how we can test and where we can test. So I think we'll probably have a lot of testing in the weeks before, the 2 or 3 weeks beforehand in July. Um, so yeah, I think I'll be ready, definitely. I think everyone, well, I would hope there's been it's almost like instead of a 2 month preseason, because usually you're racing or testing in November for most people. Some people test over the full summer break, but and you come back in February and you're testing again. So it's only really a 2 month, maybe 3 months, you could say, preseason. It's like having a 6 month preseason or longer, 7, 8 month preseason. So you would hope that most people, if they were working hard enough, would be ready to go.
And let's just ask the question: do you think you're ready to go?
Yeah, I'm definitely, well, I think that's one of those questions, isn't it, where it's not so much yes or no, it's all.
And Sebastian.
I keep training at a level every day and I know I'm getting better and I know I'm working hard and I'm always trying to find better ways to train, whether it be the mental side of things or physical, just trying to get more out of myself and, use my time smarter in this period. I've definitely been working hard. It's a case of, have I been working on the right things, and what have all the other drivers been doing? Because it's going to be really interesting when we come back and see how everyone compares. And I know some people obviously could have had quite a tough time based on where they were in the world, but I think I'm ready, and I know I'm better than I was before. So it's just a case of how much better everyone else is.
That's a pretty good answer. Okay, so I only got two more questions for you. And my first question is, which team will you be racing for this year?
Lannon Racing.
And you're excited to work with the team?
Yeah, they're a really great bunch of people. I've got two good teammates, really nice guys. They've been really helpful. So I think we're going to go a long way this year. No, it's the team really wants to do well. My teammates want to work hard. I think it's going to be a really good year, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, and my final question is, what do you still aspire to accomplish in your racing career?
Uh, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that I think it's one of those hard questions. I think I have all these crazy dreams, but at the end of the day, this year, I I just want to show, mate. Obviously, I want to try and win the championship. Everyone wants to do that. I want to be at the front of the field and show that I at least can win it. I know my goal, like a lot of the other guys I'm kind of against, is to get to Formula One, and whether or not that happens, but that's definitely the goal for everyone, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would be the goal for everyone is to get to the top of motorsport. But yeah, thanks a lot for coming on the channel, eh?
No, thanks for the interview.
No problem. And once again, I apologize for the little